I was never the kind of person who remembered dreams. I always thought they were just random fragments of the brain. But one night changed that certainty. And since then, nothing has felt simple again. I woke up in the middle of the night with a weight on my chest. I opened my eyes slowly. The room was dark, but a faint glow seeped through the blinds. At first it felt calm, almost beautiful. Then came the hum. A thin, continuous sound that seemed to vibrate inside my bones. I tried to move and realized I couldn't. My body wouldn't respond. In my dream, or whatever space lies between dream and waking, white lights floated on the ceiling. They weren't points, they were beams moving through the air as if cutting invisible fog. They pulsed in the same rhythm as my breathing, and there was a long shadow standing by the bed, faceless, only an outline. I felt fear, but also a strange curiosity I'm ashamed to admit now. The shadow didn't move closer. It stayed still, as if observing me. I wanted to scream. My dry throat produced only a soundless breath. When I truly woke up, my pillow was soaked with sweat. I looked at the clock. 3:33 a.m. A number I'll never forget. The neighbor's dog, who barked every single night, was silent. The silence itself felt heavy. I got up, walked to the window, and looked out. Nothing moved. The air had a metallic scent, like rain that never falls. I told myself it was just a nightmare. Drank some water, tried to sleep again, and somehow did. But, my body stayed tense. In the following days, small things reminded me of that moment. I kept waking up at the same hour, 3:33. No alarms, no noise, just that pull from the dark. My breathing would speed up, then stop, as if I was chasing a memory that refused to appear. One night, I heard a faint scratching sound on the roof. I grabbed my phone, but the screen stayed black. The battery hadn't died. It was like electricity itself had vanished. When it came back, the clock read 3:33 again. Didn't know what it meant, but I knew something was happening. To me, to my house, maybe to the whole city. I started noticing details. A neighbor gone for 2 days, a dog missing, the local radio turned off at night for the first time in years. On the third night, a new sound appeared. Not wind, not a car, more like someone pulling a string across the sky. I stepped onto the balcony and looked up. 2 distant bright points hovered in silence. They looked too perfect to be lanterns. Fear rose. From somewhere deep, old, and along with it came a strange need to record it. The next day, I bought a used security camera and set it up on the porch, facing the street, and partly my bedroom window. If it was only a dream, I'd laugh later. If not, at least I'd have proof. I installed the camera on a hot afternoon. It was small, old, with a blinking red LED. I hid it behind a plant pot and set it to record every night. That night, I lay in bed with my heart racing like a child waiting for fireworks. At 3:33 a.m., I woke again. The presence felt almost tangible now. I went straight to my laptop to check the footage, hands shaking. The video froze for 10 seconds. Then, 3 white beams descended from the sky, smooth, symmetrical, silent. The lights reflected in the windows, and in that reflection I could see my own room, the same pattern I'd seen in the dream. I paused, replayed, zoomed in. It wasn't a glitch. It was clear enough to unsettle me. I showed the frame to a friend who worked in local news. He frowned and said softly, "Probably some weird weather phenomenon," but his eyes betrayed him. He didn't believe that either. From that night on, I began documenting everything. I created a folder called 333. Sound clips, screenshots, notes, text messages to myself so I wouldn't forget. Then one night my phone rang around 4, unknown number. I answered. Static, then a click. When I looked at the screen, it read 3:33 again. They say when you stare too long at the unknown, it stares back. I didn't believe that until things started reacting to me. I installed more cameras, one in the living room, one inside, facing my window. I covered the lenses lightly, adjusted focus, boosted microphone sensitivity. On Thursday night, something changed. I woke up with the unmistakable feeling that something was inside the room, I couldn't move. A flash of white light burned through my closed eyelids. My ears rang with vibrating wires. Then, nothing. Darkness. I woke at 6, heavy, dizzy, ran straight to the footage. 19 minutes recorded, 18 normal. In the last minute, my room drowned in white light. The signal warped, audio spiked, and for half a second, a silhouette appeared. Tall, thin, hovering just above the floor. No face, only 2 dark shapes where eyes should be. I froze. Was I seeing something real or just my own fear recorded? But cameras don't dream. Cameras don't imagine. I took the footage to a friend who edits professionally. He worked all night, isolating frames, adjusting sound levels. In the morning he said, "This isn't a normal glitch. The interference has its own pattern. It doesn't come from the camera." That sentence echoed in my head. If it didn't come from the camera, then from where? I started living on alert. Coffee, closed windows, lights always on. Waking up drenched in sweat, convinced someone had just left the next room. People noticed. A coworker asked if I was okay. I smiled and said yes. Because how do you tell someone the dark is watching you? I looked for answers online, forums, late-night chats, small communities about sightings. I found one near my town, people who also woke at 3:33. We exchanged messages. One user, Moonshine, asked if I had any marks on my skin. I said no. A week later, I noticed a thin line on my wrist, a perfect circle. I sent him a photo. He replied, "Now you're part of it." The reports multiplied. People seeing the same lights, children talking to friends of light, phones ringing at 3:33 with static. I went to a small atmospheric research center in a nearby city. A researcher analyzed the data. He talked about electromagnetic noise, about sensors reacting to invisible frequencies. He didn't rule out a phenomenon, but warned me. Recording an anomaly isn't the same as understanding it. I left with more questions than answers. At home, the dreams blurred with memories. Moments from childhood appeared altered. Objects out of place, colors wrong, names different. I wrote everything down, because when I woke up after those nights, pieces always vanished. Then one morning, I woke with 3 small circular marks on my arm, burned into my skin like perfect stamps. I took photos, sent them to the group. Replies poured in, same pattern. That was the turning point. The fear stopped being emotional. It became physical. The question changed from, am I imagining this, to, what is this and why me? I started recording voice notes. Speaking out loud helped keep me sane, describing the sounds, the air, the smell. Hearing my own voice made the madness feel measurable. One rainy night, I got an anonymous message, a photo of a clearing in the woods. The caption read, "Look at what's displaced." No sender, just that. I couldn't ignore it. I drove there, 30 minutes outside town. The ground was marked with burned circular patterns, as if scorched by heat from above. In the center, small stones, arranged neatly, intentionally. I recorded everything. A cold wind brushed my neck, and I thought I heard a whisper. I left with the weight of having crossed an invisible line. Back home, I searched for historical cases, disappearances, strange lights. Old newspapers mentioned curious lights seen by fishermen decades ago. Nothing conclusive, only echoes. Then one night, someone knocked on my door. It was my downstairs neighbor, pale, trembling. She said her granddaughter woke crying, saying, "A light took her teddy bear." She herself had felt the building vibrate, more fragments joining mine. After that, paranoia grew. At work, stares, whispered jokes. In the street, shadows too long for their sources. I tried to talk to authorities, but they looked at me the way you look at someone searching for attention. Through the online group, we organized a meeting, a handful of us who shared the same signs. We gathered in an empty house outside town. Maps, flashlights, anxious eyes. Some tried to find patterns, others spoke of constellations. In the middle of the meeting, my phone buzzed. A new audio file, my own voice describing a place I'd never been. No one had my device, no explanation. Someone said maybe they were altering memories. The idea sounded absurd, until I realized I couldn't recall an entire Sunday from 2 months earlier. I checked photos. Nothing. Hours missing. Blank. It wasn't just me anymore. The phenomenon was collective. Marks, sounds, lights, all connected. And that realization made it worse. If it wasn't only happening to me, then why us? Eventually, I needed distance. I stayed at a friend's cabin far from town. Thick walls, small windows. The silence helped me think, though the absence of answers gnawed at me. While sorting my notes, I found a crumpled paper between the pages. They record what you forget. I don't know who wrote it. I don't remember writing it myself. When I returned home, I promised to stop chasing explanations. But fate rarely respects promises. One clear night, I looked up and for the first time tried to face it, not out of bravery, out of exhaustion. I closed my eyes and imagined the lights as music, as language. When I opened them, a short flash gleamed above the street. Every muscle in my body remembered. The next morning, my main camera, the one that had recorded everything, was dead. Its LED was off, files corrupted, as if something had decided enough was enough. I stared at the blank screen for a long time, realizing some things aren't meant to be stored. Some truths carve their own price, but traces remain, faint like scars. Over time, the incidents lessened. Nights grew quieter. I can't tell if they stopped or if I just stopped noticing. The marks on my wrist faded to a pale outline. The number 333 still appears randomly on receipts, clocks, tickets. Every time it does, I feel that same pulse, the echo of watching eyes. When people ask if I believe in aliens, I breathe before answering. My story doesn't fit that word easily. What I know is this: there were encounters, evidence, and a shift in how I see reality. I still keep the surviving files. Sometimes I replay them in the dark, and sometimes, when the house is too silent, I turn off the lights and wait. I'm not sure if that's courage or hope. I thought it was just a dream, but dreams don't leave scars, and cameras don't lie. If you've listened this far, know that you're not alone. Listen to your surroundings. Write down the moments. Don't ignore the little glitches, because sometimes what begins as light becomes a presence that rewrites what you call memory.